But what is infinite consciousness gaining from this?
Nothing.
Why does it ever would like to do this?
Why does... sorry to speak on behalf of women, but why would a woman ever give birth to a child? For no reason. I mean, and men and women, do men and women sit there calculating what they stand to gain out of having a couple of children? They'd never do it if they did. Because it's just an act of love. For no reason. Have you not ever done something in your life for no reason?
Oh yes, yes.
Of course,
yeah,
of course. Why does an artist create? I mean, to reduce art to a reason is to reduce art to bring it within the confines of the rational mind. The impulse to create art cannot be contained or explained by the rational mind. You see, the rational mind believes that its way of seeing things is true, is a reflection of reality. So the rational mind thinks in terms of cause and effects. Why A because of B, why B because of C. That's the way the mind sees reality. And it presumes that cause and effect is true of reality. It doesn't realize that it's just the way it perceives. So the cause and effect that seems to be true from the point of view of the mind doesn't apply to consciousness. The laws that operate in Jane's world don't operate in Mary's world. So as a concession, as a compassionate concession to the mind that asks, why does consciousness do this? The teaching sometimes tries to answer the question on the mind's terms and says, oh, consciousness does this because it was lonely by itself, or because it wanted to express its love, but it gives a reason. But those are just concessions to the finite mind. It is like a parent saying to the child, okay, you don't understand, and then the parent makes up a story that the child can understand. The parent doesn't explain the real reason, because it knows that the child couldn't understand the real reason. So it makes up a story that makes sense for the child. It tells the child a story on its own terms. So it's the same thing. The finite mind thinks in terms of cause and effect. And therefore the finite mind thinks that cause and effect must apply to consciousness. It doesn't. There's no cause and effect for consciousness, because there are not two things, one to cause another. We cannot ask the why question of consciousness. We can ask what consciousness is, but not why. The why question, cause and effect, is implicit in duality. It only operates in Jane's world. It doesn't operate in Mary's world. So there's no answer to the why question. And it is much better, I feel, to answer the why question in this way, rather than to make a concession to the mind and say, oh, it's because of this. Because that won't satisfy the mind. It might satisfy the mind for 24 hours. But if I were to say to you, oh, why does consciousness do this? And I give you an example, A. It might satisfy you, but tomorrow you'll come back and you'll say, well, why A? And then I'll say, well, because of B. And then the next day you'll come back, well, why B? It goes on forever. So any kind of answer, any kind of attempt to answer the why question is just like a lollipop for the mind to suck on. But until we understand that the why question cannot be asked of consciousness, the laws of cause and effect don't operate at the level of pure consciousness. The time and space that exist in Jane's world do not exist in Mary's world.